Greetings, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a subject to you today that's interesting to me. It might be interesting to you or someone you know about, and that is vegetarianism. And in particular, on behalf of humans, hopefully it's obvious I'm going to be talking about people and vegetarians. I want to qualify myself as a former vegetarian. I have extreme, I would categorize my feelings towards animal rights as extreme myself. Now, I am no longer a vegetarian, and I want to explain this. I want to explain how I became a vegetarian and what made me eventually stop being a vegetarian. And that may or may not be interesting to some people. I'm not trying to sell anything here. I'm not trying to influence anybody. I'm trying to perhaps clarify the subject because it would have been helpful to me in the beginning if I saw this video before I tried it. So if somebody's considering being a vegetarian, this might be useful. I don't know. Take what I have to say with a grain of salt, but I'm going to get right into it. So, animal rights. I don't think that a lot of people are necessarily in disagreement. I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I think that even hunters, proper, actual, people that do it, responsibly, if there is a way to do that, hopefully we can agree that there's a humane way to dispatch animals for food. And mankind has done this since antiquity. Hopefully we can agree that that's part of our evolutionary history. If you don't believe in evolution, well, it's a different conversation. Maybe you just tuned out. That's fine too. I do believe that people evolved. I do believe that we have changed forms over the years, and I can see it happening in other species and in human beings. I'm not in question about that. And I also believe that our evolutionary path as human beings has led us to have features and a digestive system, first of all, that is omnivorous. If you know what that means, it means that we can very effectively process both meat and vegetables, vegetable matter, protein in the form of animal matter. So not all animals can do this. Not all living things can do this. Some animals are herbivores. Some animals are carnivores. They need a predominantly, an exclusive meat diet. Some animals, predators, lions, tigers, that kind of thing. People, on the other hand, have omnivorous digestive systems, which indicates that we have, in fact, I'm going to digress just very briefly about something that I do know from my education, that people have been portrayed in schools and in common rhetoric, the urban myths about where we came from, the debates and whatnot. We've been portrayed in a pretty high, lofty view, in an image that is probably where we do not deserve as a species. I think that the data, the actual evidence points more towards a history of being scavengers for the most part. I think that people evolved for the vast duration of our time as actual Homo sapiens, as finding whatever we can eat, be it vegetables, be it things that just died, like vultures or scavengers. I think that we have just been scavengers, and there's a lot of evidence, a lot of anthropological evidence to support this idea. But anyway, to get back on the subject, vegetarianism, I do believe, is good. I guess I should have started with that. I think that it's a very humane, compassionate way to conduct ourselves as people. However, if it's not natural, now whether we're talking about diet or something else completely, there's degrees of departure from a natural way of life. What is natural? Well, the way I'm using the word means how we evolved. Left to our own devices in an uncivilized society, what would human beings be doing to survive? How would we be getting along? That's the question. So we have other features besides our digestive system. We have clues, right? We have narrow or, front-facing eyes like certain other animals. What other animals have depth perception? Cats. Well, you can run down the list. Almost every animal that you can find that has eyes similar to the human eyes, the facial configuration, they are partly or completely predatory. And it's a clue. Okay, so you can dispute that. You can dispute that humans are partly carnivorous, but you're not going to convince me otherwise because I see the evidence. So, and I also know, and this was my undoing. To get to the point, I I was a vegetarian for years because I wanted to try it, and in complete honesty, I was trying to impress a girl. I appreciate her compassion, and I think that I am not without the same compassion, but I'm also realistic to the point of setting limits as far as what I can afford and what feels right for me to do in my life. And I have had to figure this out, and I've thought very hard about it. I do distinguish between members of our society, that is, human beings. Our society and our civilization is comprised of people and animals. I think that there's a categorical difference, and it's kind of a curvy line. It's a blurry line sometimes, but obviously we wouldn't eat our own pets. They're family members. We would not there's a lot of things, there's a lot of boundaries that we would never ever cross. Most normal people would never cross these boundaries. However, if you were hungry enough, now here's the thing, if you did not happen to have a grocery store or some convenient, affordable way to eat, whoever you are, whether you're a vegan, whether you're a vegetarian, or you're a carnivore human, you're gonna eat whatever it takes to survive. And we already know this because, well, okay, there's a show, Naked and Afraid. Maybe you saw it on Amazon Prime, but it's got people, including vegetarians. Sometimes they throw them in just to spice it up. They are living for 3 weeks with nothing. They're just out in the wilderness. They pick a location and they just dump these people off, and a minimal camera crew follows them around for 3 weeks, and they just try to survive. Some of them make it, some of them don't. But every single couple that they deposit has to eat what's there. They don't have a choice. And this is nature. This is what we're all just like half a degree away from if your grocery store were to close. Okay, so I appreciate vegetarians. I do. I think it improves our karma collectively. It's good for animals. It's good for you as a person. It's also expensive to substitute things that you need. Okay, well, you can eat beans all day. Do you want to eat beans all day? I don't want to eat beans all day, and I don't think I'm supposed to. Okay, that's my point. I really don't think I'm supposed to get all my protein from beans and tofu. and there's other options. I get it. I do, but they're expensive. To properly create something that tastes like meat, that satisfies like meat, and that delivers the nutritional value of meat, it takes a factory of technological sophistication and a budget to be able to get that stuff, and it does tend to be a little bit expensive. So, final summary: I like vegetarians. I think that it's a great idea. It's expensive. For me, it's not preferable because it feels unnatural. I don't get the same flavor. I don't get the same nutritional value, and I feel like there's a very good okay. There's one last thing. Okay, I'm at 8.5 minutes. I got just enough time to mention one final point. You might think that animals could never consent. This is going to sound crazy, but I'm going to say it. Communication aside, if all of our communication barriers were put aside somehow, and you were able to communicate effortlessly with farm animals, for example, and I don't think it's out of the question completely that an animal would agree, in as far as it could, to live a sheltered, protected life, fed as much as it wanted, never being harassed by other predators or animals, in exchange for, at some point being dispatched in a humane way. I think that it's not okay. I mean, is a horse going to be running a business? No, it's not a horse. We don't eat horses, but I mean, like farm animals, goats, chickens, sheep, or pigs. I mean, some people eat horses. I don't, but you know what I mean. I think it's not out of the question to if communication is the problem. This is my point. My final point. If communication is the problem and getting an agreement, maybe you would be surprised. Maybe if you were able to ask the animal, if I provided for you 100% up until a point, would you be open to that? Maybe they would say yes. I don't know. Anyway, thank you. Bye.